Alright guys, so today we're going to check out the JLab Epic Air Sport ANC. Now we've reviewed a lot of earbuds on this channel and actually a lot of sport earbuds, but I haven't seen any sport earbuds that have active noise canceling up to this point, so this will be a first on the channel. Now they do come in retailing at $100 and they actually have some very impressive features, but we're going to check out some of those features, what it is you get inside the box, and see if it's worth the $100 price tag. Now to start with, these do work with JLab's ANC app. It gives you control over EQ settings. You have 3 different noise canceling modes that you can switch between, and it also allows you to update the earbuds. But I do want to point out that I had the option to update these in the app, but it would not allow me to do it. You could see that the button came up to update and I just sat there and tapped and nothing happened. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's something I wanted to point out. Now these also have the 3 built-in EQ settings on the earbuds themselves, so if you don't want to go in the app and customize the EQ settings, you do have those 3 options, which is JLab Signature Sound, the Bass Boost option, and then the Balanced option. But we'll talk about those a little bit later when we talk about the sound. Now, as far as the technology that's in here, it uses Bluetooth 5.0 and it has AAC and SBC playback. And another feature that these have is a super low latency mode, which is basically giving you the option to switch it over into movie mode. And what that's doing is it's cutting down on any kind of lag with movies, videos, and games, but it's also going to cut down on some of your battery life as well. So you only want to switch that into that mode if you're going to be watching a movie or gaming. Now, as far as the IP rating on these, they come in rated at IP66, so they are sweat and water resistant. Now, this is not a pair that you can submerge into water, but you're going to be fine if they get splashed on or if you're somebody that sweats heavily. Now, as far as what you're getting inside the box, you're getting 3 sets of the gel tips. You're also getting 2 sets of what they call long tips. Now, this does alter the sound some, so you definitely want to play around with the ear tips to make sure you have the right one, because I'm going to say the ones that were on them right out of the box, I did not like the sound of. So once I changed to the larger size ear tip, it made a huge difference in the sound. And they've also included a set of foam ear tips as well. So if you're somebody that prefers the foam ear tips over the silicone style ear tips, it's nice that that option's inside the box. Now, as far as the charging cable, just in typical JLab form, the charging cable is built in on the case itself. So this is not an extra cable you have to keep up with. I find it to be very convenient that it's on this case. I know some people do not like this feature simply because the cord is not long, and they also worry that if something happens to the cable that their earbuds are pretty much useless. But in this case, the case is also a Qi wireless charging case. So if something happens to the cable, or if you just prefer to drop these on a wireless charger, you can do that and they'll start charging. And speaking of charging, battery life is very impressive on these. In fact, this is some of the best battery life that I've seen on a pair of earbuds, because on the earbuds themselves, you're going to get 15 hours before you need to charge them up. And then with the charging case, you're going to get around 70 hours total. Now that's with the noise canceling turned off. What's very impressive is the fact that with the noise canceling turned on, you can still get 11 hours on the earbuds with around 50 hours total using the case. There's just no denying that's some of the best battery life that I've seen with the noise canceling on or off, and I'm really impressed with the fact that they've been able to do that. Now, moving over to looking at the rest of the case, on the front you have 4 indicator lights so that you can kind of gauge how much battery life is left on the case, and there's no denying the fact that the case is large. And I've also noticed that all earbuds that have that ear hook style design, which are made for sports, always have a larger size case. So do keep that in mind if you're somebody that has, smaller pockets, or you keep other things in your pocket. This is going to take up quite a bit of space. Now, moving over to looking at the earbuds, like I said, these do have the ear hook style design. I found these to be extremely comfortable, and because of the ear hook, you don't have to worry about these moving around or falling off. Now, these also have the smart sensors where if you're listening to music and you take one of the earbuds out, it will automatically pause your music, and then it will also auto resume once you put them back in. Now, as far as the controls on here, they do use touch controls, and I'm happy to say that you can control everything. So you have your play, pause, skipping your tracks forward, going backwards. You have volume control. You have the ability to switch between the 3 different EQ settings. And then another thing I forgot to mention is in the app, it also has sliders so that you can control how much of the noise canceling and the awareness mode that you want to use. Because the awareness mode in here, I think they did an excellent job with. It's very easy to pick up a lot of your surroundings. So if you're going to be out running and you come into a busier area with traffic and cars and things like that, you can switch it into awareness mode so you can hear that better. Or if somebody comes up to talk to you, you can switch it over into that mode and carry on a conversation. Now, as far as the active noise canceling on these, I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think this is the best noise canceling that I've heard. I think it does an okay job. I don't think it's going to blow a lot of people away, but I think if you're out running or if you're traveling like in a subway or a plane, it's going to cut down on a lot of those lower end noises. Anything that has higher frequency, like people talking, or if you're in a restaurant and there's a lot of things going on, you're still going to hear some of that. So it doesn't block out a lot of the surroundings, but it does do a good job with the lower frequencies. So if you're just looking for a pair with active noise canceling, I would not recommend them simply based off of that. Now, for you guys that like to use your earbuds individually, you can use both the left and the right. And then as far as the microphones on here, I think they do a fairly decent job of picking up my voice. I think most people are going to be fine being able to hear you during phone calls, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. Alright guys, so here is a mic test using the Epic Air Sport ANC. I think overall it does a very good job of picking up my voice. I do notice that there is maybe a little bit of distance in the sound, but overall I think it sounds very good. And this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And now here is the mic test with the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound. I pointed out earlier that there are 3 different EQ options already built in on the earbuds. I'm personally going to say that I think the balance mode sounds a little too tinny. I think the bass boost mode sounds a little too boomy and a little too warm, but I found the JLab signature sound mode to be the best. I think that it's pulling out the most that it can out of treble. In fact, the treble on these can get pretty bright. If you're going to listen to these at really loud volumes, at times it can even feel a little harsh. It doesn't get to that point though, so it allows a lot of details to come through. Same thing with the mids. I think the mids are pushed forward enough that you're hearing vocals to the point where they sound very natural. It doesn't feel like it's trying to do too much with the vocals, but you also don't feel like the vocalist gets drowned out in the mix. And then the bass has a lot of kick to it, but they definitely tightened up the bass where it doesn't feel sloppy. It doesn't have that subwoofer type feel. So as far as like lower frequencies on the bass, it's not feeling like it's pushing too much. It's a clean sound overall. In fact, I would really compare these a lot to the Powerbeats Pro, which is surprising because, you know, the Powerbeats Pro comes in, I think, at like $250 or $300, where being able to pick these up at $100 makes the value that much better. Now, as far as the sound stage and the sound imaging, this is not a very open sounding earbud. It definitely sounds like you have the 2 large club size speakers in front of you. So if you're wanting something that sounds very spacious and very open, I wouldn't necessarily go with these, but they do a very good job of being able to tell where instruments are coming from. I never felt like anything sounded congested or muddy. So as far as the overall sound, I was really impressed. Now, as far as some of my cons with these, one thing is the ANC is not that strong. So the fact that this is an active noise canceling pair of earbuds, if you go in expecting too much out of that, I think you'll be a little disappointed. And then my only other con is it feels like the touch controls on these doesn't register every time, or maybe it's just that there is such a small sensor that you have to hit it just right. So it feels like if I'm trying to skip my tracks, sometimes I'm just pausing the music, and that can be a little frustrating because it feels like you're having to do the controls a couple of times to actually get it to do what you want it to do. But outside of that, I think this is an excellent pair. In fact, I think it may be the only pair of sport earbuds that you can get that has active noise canceling. Mix that in with the fact that you're getting a lot of controls, and now that you can use JLab's ANC app to even do some other things, and have a low latency mode for gaming and for movies, this is a really good package deal for $100. But guys, that's my video on the JLab Epic Air Sport ANC. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.